Hello, Crisis Line volunteers. This video is an introduction to our new FileMaker Pro system, which will be replacing Iris. We will review how to create a new username and how to log calls. More detailed information will be available later in other videos. FileMaker Pro will make your role on the Crisis Line simpler and more effective once you learn how to navigate the new system. If you need further support or have questions, please contact Crisis Center staff. We want you to feel as comfortable as possible. When you arrive on shift, the Open Crisis DB file should already be open. If it's not, please click on the Open Crisis DB file on the desktop seen here. Once the program launches, you will be asked for an account name and password. Your account name is your first and last name. Please use the same password as your password for Iris. Your password should be the first letter of your first name, and then your last name. There should be no spaces or uppercase letters. Once you have completed this step, you will now be ready to use the database. When you log in, this screen will appear. When you're ready to begin your shift, please push the Answer Calls button. This screen will pop up. Go to the Shift Type section and select Volunteer, unless you are paid staff. Under the Shift box, please select the time of your shift. If another volunteer or staff member is observing your shift, select their name from the Observer drop-down menu, then hit Continue. Now you are ready to answer calls. The notices will appear here in the window, shown under the Notices tab. These notices are the same as the startup message on Iris. If you click on the notice, the data will show up on the right side as seen here. A great new feature is that you can also view recent high-risk callers, persistent callers, and callers who have been banned. When looking at high-risk callers, click View next to the call you are interested in to see all the call details, which will show up here. In order to log a call, you will have to press the Answer Calls button again. This window will pop up. Once a call comes in, you'll need to press the blue New Call button. A blank call slot will appear, and the time the call began will also automatically be added. And here's the blank call slot. The very first thing you want to do is click on the blue Find Caller button. The Search Caller window will appear. Next, check and see if the caller has called us before. Enter the phone number in the blank search window. Always first search using the caller's phone number. This will prevent us from creating multiple profiles for the same caller. If no matches appear, or you don't have the phone number, search by name. If there are no matches, select Add New. Fill out all of the information that you know about the caller. If you don't know the information, please leave it blank. Please note there's a special space for multiple phone numbers here. This is so we can have only one profile for the same caller. Please see the caller profile tutorial video for more information. Once you are done with this section and you have selected OK, you will see that the new caller profile will appear here on this list. Next, select the This One button to indicate that this is a caller you are speaking with. In order to log out at the end of your shift, you will need to have all of the yellow highlighted information filled in for each call. When you have successfully completed all of the highlighted information, a smiley face will appear here next to the call. If you are wondering why the call is not complete, click the Help button. Sections that are incomplete will be listed here. Now that the caller profile has been added to this call, we need to fill in the rest of the required information. First, let's start with the line section. Please select the line that the call came in on. You can determine this by seeing which red light is illuminated on the phone and the notation listed next to it. It's easiest next to choose the type of call. If you select hang up silence or wrong number, the call is automatically completed and a smiley face appears. However, let's assume that this is the caller's first time calling into the crisis line and select first call. The start time will automatically show up when you hit the new call button. However, when you're done with the call, you can simply push set to end the time, and it will automatically fill in. You can also manually enter the time by clicking here. Let's assume this caller is not suicidal. Notice when I select Not Suicidal from the Suicide Intent Start dropdown, this yellow section over risk assessment disappears. This means we no longer need to complete this section. For the Outcome section, you select whether the caller seems to be feeling better, the same, or worse at the end of the call. This next section is extremely helpful. It will alert staff if you have a particular type of call that may need attention. This includes everything from CPS APS reports to a sex caller or a persistent caller. There's also an option for rescue intervention. You will also need to fill out the corresponding follow-up form for any of these. If you call a welfare check, please make sure that you mark the rescue intervention option. The call notes section is the same as the summary in IRIS. If you click the question mark, it will describe what we expect. In the suicidal content section, please select the appropriate option. This section differentiates between third-party callers and callers who are in crisis. Suicidal desire means that the caller is thinking about suicide, but doesn't have a plan or intention to actually end their life, such as a low lethality caller. Suicidal intent means that the caller is planning on ending their life. If none of these apply, please select NA. See how another box appears here? You can actually select more than one option. For example, if it was a caller who had lost someone to suicide and who was also thinking about suicide themselves, you could select both suicidal desire, and in the second box, you could select loss due to suicide. Next, select the appropriate choice from abuse violence, mental health, and social issues. Please add all the relevant categories that apply. Next, let's move on to basic needs and healthcare. Please select all options that apply to the caller, or NA if none apply. Notice how the Referrals tab at the top is still highlighted. Let's look here next. Since we selected that this caller is anxious and depressed, let's try to give a useful referral. When you give a referral, type the name here. When the database is fully operational, a big list of referrals will be available under the Search for Referrals button. If we try to log out now without filling out the rest of the information, you'll receive an error message that will tell you how many calls you have left to complete. You have 2 calls that need to be completed before signing out. Please complete them. Let's finish up the caller demographics section. If you do not know the requested information, please select the unknown or NA option. This was the call that we were already working on before, so make sure that you go back to the correct call. If a city name is unavailable here, you actually can type in a new city name. Now that we're done, a smiley face appears over here. We're done with our first call. In Iris, you have to submit a call. In FileMaker Pro, you don't need to submit. Once the smiley face appears, you're all done. Next, we will demonstrate how the system works with a high-risk caller. Let's imagine that the same caller, Morgan, calls back again. I'm going to select New Call. Next, I will select Find Caller and type in the phone number that Morgan's using to call us. There's our recent caller. Let's select this one. Notice that the information we know about Morgan automatically fills in up top, and that automatically the type of call has been labeled recall. Now let's imagine that this time Morgan's feeling highly suicidal. Notice that when we mark suicidal intent, the risk assessment pops up. Even though it's not highlighted, you must complete the entire risk assessment scale in order to move on and have this yellow mark go away. Once we complete the database, this section should be automatically highlighted. A great thing is that this risk assessment flowchart will actually take you through an entire risk assessment. We would like to strongly encourage you to use this flowchart. When you're done, this yellow highlighted part will go away and you can return to the call section. Now fill in the rest of the information under this section like we did for the last call. If you learn more information about the caller, go to this Edit Caller tab. Please add it to the profile by filling it in here. When you are done, a smiley face will appear here next to the call. Now you know how to log different types of calls in our database. If you accidentally hit the New Call button before a call comes in, simply wait for the next call and then change the start time. So if I don't have a call come in at 3:02, but my next caller comes in at 4:30, I would change the start time to 4:30. But if at the end of your shift you have a blank call like this and no one has called in, what you can do is go to Line and select None Error. A smiley face will appear to indicate that you finished the call. Some key points to remember is to look for the caller in the database by phone number first before creating a new caller profile. Next, remember to fill out all the sections highlighted in yellow. And if you can't figure out what to do, click the Help button. This database has many other types of helpful features which will be shown in a later video. Please contact Crisis Center staff with any questions or concerns you might have. Before you go, please write your name in the Google form below so that we know you've watched this video. Thank you for watching and being such wonderful volunteers.